It's been a very strange thing to try and have social gatherings with people on a computer screen. I don't think it really feels the same. It's not as warm as being with actual people in person.
We're all stuck inside, so we can't really be that active. We can't hang out with friends, go see the movies, you name it.
A lot of us are trying to figure out what to do with our lives now that we're confined to our homes.
My professional name is Dr. Cynthia Clark, and I work as a primary care physician.
My name is Nathan Segelke, and I go to Cornell College in Iowa.
I work as a process development engineer for a company called Credence Med Systems.
My name is EvanS.
The panini maker.
Why did I buy a panini machine? Well, before this all started. I went off to a hike with my friend Jeff, a little college buddy, and we had lunch at his house, and he pulled out his panini machine. I was pretty impressed with that.
I feel like it's nothing new, but at the same time, I've enjoyed it.
And then shortly after the corona thing hit, I said, well, we need one of those panini machines if we're going to be stuck in the house for a long time.
So while Scott wasn't even here, an enormous box showed up at our house that turned out to contain a panini maker.
I've enjoyed making a panini, which is to say, I've enjoyed making a grilled cheese in 2 minutes.
And it's been an interesting adventure watching my sons master the panini.
During our quarantine experience, we've gotten both a panini grill and...
Why did I buy an exercise bike? Well, I've been shut off from the gym. Normally at work, there's a gym right next door. I get to go there pretty much every day and ride their exercise bike and climb the rock climbing wall and do various other things there that I like to keep myself fit.
I have been using the recumbent bike every now and then to keep myself healthy.
But now that we're quarantined, I'm cut off from the exercise bike. Your mom and your brother both said they'd use it, so I went online. I was fortunate to find one that we can get delivered to us pretty quickly.
My family also has a treadmill, which I use for running, but that my dog thinks should be used for sleeping, because apparently one dog bed isn't enough.
Yes, I am using Just Dance to quarantine myself in a healthy way while keeping myself fit and groovy. We just bust out the old Wii remotes, dust off the console, boot it up, and then just dance. When my inspiration's going low and I need some morale boosting, I just gotta go for that song that's never gonna give me up and never gonna let me down. And I just boogie woogie.
That's a good question. I'm not sure how the dog feels. I think he's certainly happy to have us all around, and he's enjoying having everyone here. It's probably exhausting for him to get a few more walks than normal. And
some days he comes around for a good chill time. Other times he just gives you those sassy looks.
Seems like he's doing well. He's probably doing better than the rest of us.
And you, Sparky, how do you feel about coronavirus?
We're fortunate that we all sort of have been able to find our own space to work.
The biggest challenge about working from home is you just don't have the collaboration with your coworkers. Normally at work, if I've got a question, I can just go down the hallway and bump into somebody and ask them what I'm concerned about or what I'm thinking about, and get their feedback. So now I've got to rely on emails or making phone calls. And oftentimes it's a hands-on thing that we're working on, so I have to rely on their judgment about what they're seeing and feeling with the equipment and kind of take their word for it before I can go in and check it out on myself. So my company makes a line of different safety syringes. So the basic thing is once a person makes an injection, we want to make sure they won't be able to inject themselves with the needle afterwards, which would potentially infect them with whatever their patient may have had. So as you can see, after the injection, the needle is sucked into the plunger rod by a spring-loaded mechanism. So it's inherently safe after that. You can't actually stick yourself.
I'd say the hardest thing about doing college online would be the lack of interaction with the other students. You can see their faces on the occasional Zoom meeting or Zoom recording of a meeting, but otherwise you don't really interact with them much. It gets the information across, but it doesn't really communicate with the other students. You're just doing something that you read online. It's impersonal versus when you're in a classroom. There's a whole atmosphere to it. You learn with other people, cooperate with others. It just loses the spark while you go to a college.
One of the calls that I took another day that was kind of amusing to me at the time was one of these people that was worried but not really sure they had symptoms. The interaction that I thought was kind of amusing was when I asked them if they had a cough. They said something along the lines of, well, I smoke a lot of marijuana, so I'm not really sure if that's why I'm coughing or if I actually am sick and have a cough. And I do think there's a lot of people who are trying to deal with their stress and anxiety by things like marijuana, or I'm seeing a lot on social media about people drinking a lot of alcohol. This is a common thing for human beings to do when they're not feeling great, is to use substances, but it's not what I would recommend.
So foam is a subgroup in the Chess and Games Club where you go around making these foam swords. It was supposed to come back when I was going back, but then when it got canceled, that was a real bummer. I mean, I've even got what remains of one sword that was broken. That's where all the tape's for. It was fun. We had all kinds of rule sets. Who could last the longest? Who are just following people once they took you down? Playing with the sword, just thinking back of the good old days when I could backstab somebody when they weren't looking.
Excellent.
I mean, I'd always try and stealth up to them, but every time I just went, they heard.
The picnic areas and the play structures have all been taped off. That was, want people gathering together there or playing on the play structures together, so a lot of those areas have been taped off.
I actually have seen an increase in mental health stuff. One of the things that I do is take incoming video calls from patients who I don't know ahead of time what their issue might be, and then they just show up on my screen, and then I talk to them and find out what their issue is. And I've had a surprising number of people with pretty significant symptoms of anxiety where they can't sleep and they are struggling to control their thoughts. They're just obsessively thinking about things that are upsetting and concerning to them, and that can then, just make it hard to function and hard to eat and hard to sleep, and just can really get people in a difficult spot. And we've seen so much of that there's like a standard list of recommendations that I can just send out to people for managing their stress and anxiety, as well as I can also treat people with medications if I think it's severe enough to need that. It's been a lot of that. I've been surprised at how much stress and anxiety and depression calls I've gotten. Probably at least as many of those as I have people with, fever and cough and shortness of breath and those things that we associate with the coronavirus.
Time for a birthday party. While social distancing.
I was gonna see how long you record until the dog food.
It didn't take very long.
But how do we give him presents? Ready, Everett?
The right draft.
Yo, that was really accurate, actually.
That's pretty good.
Just walking around with Sparky, you see a lot of people wearing masks and keeping their distance. It's not the normal social occasion it is when you're walking your dog. Normally people are it's commenting on how friendly our dog is, and they come up to greet him, and now we're all just keeping ourselves across the street from each other or moving around each other in the park, and not getting anywhere near each other. Even though the dogs are trained to play with each other, we have to keep them apart, and that's been bizarre. Yeah, I think in the future this is going to change the way we operate for a good year or so here. I don't think there's going to be any large gatherings, any graduation parties, maybe not even birthday parties for a while. We're going to be all socially distanced or physically distanced for quite a while yet, I think.
I feel like being locked inside for all these months, you really see the importance of being with friends and family.
There are some things that I hope will come out of this that would actually be good things, like people appreciating small things, being able to enjoy playing games with their family or watching a movie together or going for a walk.